welcome to the last devlog in 2018 of my current project, Road to a City. Sorry for not being able to upload a video for Christmas last week. Actually, I planned to make a little surprise video for my subscribers, but time flew over the last few weeks. But I thought it would be great to make another final video for this year to tell you what I was working on over the last 3 weeks. So let's go! If you watch my videos regularly, you should know I've started the second alpha stage 2 weeks ago, and there have been a few testers who helped me a lot with their feedbacks. Manuel, Blair, and last but not least Renault spent a lot of time playing or testing the game, and they sent me a lot of bug reports, new ideas or some little tweaks to improve the game, and I will now go through the most important things. First of all, I was glad to hear that the performance was pretty cool on all the different systems. There's a known performance issue in the engine, but this will be handled at a later stage, since this only occurs in bigger cities, and this isn't necessary for the next important steps like the upcoming Kickstarter. I published the alpha version 0.4 and improved it a couple of times in the meantime. During the alpha versions, I set up a bug tracking project on my Azure DevOps, where the testers can request access to see the current status of a single bug or a task I'm working on. The first thing which has been implemented is the full hotkey support. I had some hotkeys implemented in the previous version, but they had not been added in the way they should have been. The help window now shows all these supported keys, and the player can now also close all open pop-ups with the escape key. Another request was that buildings stay active when a building is placed on the map. Previously, the player had to return to the building menu every time and place the same object again, but that wasn't a good user experience, so I decided to change that. Since I'm creating my own engine, I also had to create a custom control to write color text with all the characteristics like line breaks, paragraphs, different text sizes in a single line, and align them at the bottom of each line and so on. When I started creating that component, I thought about a quick implementation also for the syntax. I used the single curly brackets for placeholders and the double curly brackets for predefined colors. The problem was that each white space resets the color and the size settings, which led to the problem I had to write the color text for small fire station like that. That wasn't very friendly for the translators and caused some other problems. For example, the message "You have a new fire station" was written like this. The default syntax at the end was to reset the format for the dot at the end. Moreover, double line breaks were not possible, so I decided to rewrite that component to get rid of all the problems which occurred in the alpha version 0.4. I changed the syntax to a more simple way, which is quite similar to the HTML syntax. The text "You have a new fire station" is now written like this. This allows to only write the text "fire station" in red. Also, the new alpha node screen uses the syntax for displaying all the new different types of fixes over the previous versions. Another request I got was moving the erase button from the building menu to the main screen. It was a bit hidden, and I agreed most of the players would expect the button to be directly visible, so I changed that, and I also created a new red button to give it a little highlight to the player. Besides these changes, I also got some bugs reported. In the following I will show some of the most important and best to show issues, because the video will get way too long otherwise. The job assignment didn't work the way it should. When the player set all the jobs to the minimum requested amount, saved the game and loaded it again, the amount numbers were quite different for some job sectors. I didn't check the upgradable buildings correctly, so that could be fixed quite quickly, and the player now sees the correct numbers after loading the game. One weird bug came up when the player requested a funding. Each funding has a possibility it gets permitted or denied, and the player will get a notification about the final decision. But in the alpha, the player got 2 messages with both results, which is a bug obviously. But that wasn't a complicated one and should not occur anymore again. A little bit later in the game, the player can upgrade the football pitch and extend it with a grass seating. The tooltip says that the installation also renews the pitch condition after upgrade, but that wasn't the case obviously. This has also been fixed in the meantime. A tougher problem was a bug about the radius calculation for some buildings. Sometimes apartments didn't show that a type of building is within its radius, even if the radius itself showed that it was, so I had to take a deeper look into the radius calculation and use some visuals to show me the reason for the wrong calculation. In the end, I found out I used the wrong building measures when I compared 2 buildings with different sizes. I calculate the radius by considering the building measures because otherwise a building with a width of 2 and a height of 3 would have different radius offsets in its 4 directions. And I had 2 different functions for the radius calculation. The first for the preview mode and the other for the actual calculation when the object has been placed. So I guess that was the problem in this case, and this has now been fixed. Another annoying bug was that new buildings always got the not enough jobs sign above it, even if the player has assigned enough jobs. After solving the bug, this doesn't occur anymore, and the player will only get notified if there are really not enough jobs for this type of building. That was an overview about a few issues I had to solve over the last weeks. A big thanks to all of you testing the game. I really appreciate it, and I'm glad to see you want to help me improving the game. Besides working on the alpha, I also had some other stuff to do. First, I spent a lot of time to get Road to City also running on Mac. I got a lot of help from Manuel, who had to test my builds, which didn't work out most of the times, but I finally got it working. But there is still a small side effect I have to solve. But as I already mentioned, I have some other priorities at the moment, but I would say that I've 5% to go to make it work on Mac in the future. I also created the game trailer for the Steam page and the Kickstarter campaign. I only need background music and another thing I don't want to reveal so far to make it really complete, but this won't take too long, so I'm pretty optimistic I'm able to present it to you in the next few weeks. Lately I rewrote all the text for the Steam page, which were about a year old. So far I was able to provide the descriptions in German, English and French. At this point I would like to thank Luke George, who helped me improving the English translation I made previously and put it on a new and higher level. Thanks for that, Luke, and of course Renaud for your assistance regarding the French translation again. I already started a review for the Steam shop page a few days ago, but there have been some smaller issues I had to fix. I corrected all of them and asked for permission again, so I'm pretty optimistic that the shop page is soon live and ready for the Kickstarter, that people are able to put Road to a City on their wishlist. In the next days I'll try to relax a bit from a very busy year, but then I will get back to work and to the Kickstarter campaign, write some new texts, create GIFs and prepare all the necessary information, for example the demo version for potential backers or some YouTubers and streamers, and work on some balancing stuff, especially on the football part. Before ending the last video in 2018, here comes the Patreon shoutout. This one goes to Boundfox, and Manuel Rauber. Thank you very much for your support in 2018. And that's it for 2018 and this devlog video. I hope you liked it. If you did, I would be really happy if you give this video a thumbs up. If you want to get notified when the next devlog video comes out, just subscribe to the channel or activate the bell. Have a great start into the next year and see you in 2019 again, hopefully. Cheers!